Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the official launch of Tough Journey, Great Destination by Dinali Peiris, a book on nurturing professionals and building leaders. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Dinali, and I'm Ronnie's eldest daughter. I'm very thankful for this opportunity that has been given to me today to kick off today's proceedings, as well as to introduce my dad to you. So for me, the best time to catch Dad is usually in the mornings. I'll call him around 7 a.m. I'm on my way into work, and believe it or not, he's already at work. Our conversations this year have centered much around exchanging ideas and thoughts on what he was going to do post-retirement. After working for over 46 years, 15 years being at John Keel's, it was important to me that he kept himself busy and his mind active as he ventured into this next phase of life. My worries were soon put to rest as he shared his plans with me. He was keen to get into consulting, mainly in the areas of portfolio management and strategic HR. Being in HR myself, we've always had many a healthy debate, so I knew that this was going to possibly be another one of those very interesting aspects. I asked him about board positions. Whilst he was not overly enthusiastic about this, he did say to me, if the right opportunity with an exciting company came along, he would consider the same. But what really interested me was his deep desire to be a leadership and an executive coach. Being in the organizational development space myself and seeing the power that coaching has to transform individuals, his passion to nurture and build talent was something that resonated very well with me. So out of the blue, during one of these conversations in June, he said, "Dinali, I'm going to write a book." And I was like, on what? Now, Daddy had recently done a book for the family. So I was thinking this could be something related to that, an autobiography of sorts. And he said, no, I want to write a book on what I believe are the behaviors and traits that one would expect in a professional or a leader. And I was like, you mean you want to write a book, publish it, and sell it? And he was like, yes. And I wasn't really quite sure as to how he was going to go about this. So I said, that's great. So when are you going to begin? And his response in typical fashion was, well, it's nearly done, and I'm going to send you the first chapter. And literally within minutes of me putting down the phone, the first chapter was in my inbox. So for all of you who know my dad very well and work with him, this is very characteristic of him. Once he sets a goal for himself, he just goes after it and gets it done. So the first chapter comes in, and incidentally, that's my favorite chapter of the book. So I'm expecting this to be some typical leadership, professional development book, lots of theory, some corporate examples. But as I start reading it, I realize that the behaviors and traits that he wants to share were all taken from his life, from his childhood to his family, to his school days at St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, to the leaders he had worked for, the companies he had worked at. The stories were many, they were diverse, but most importantly, they were authentic. Reading the book was naturally very personal to me and at times emotional. Some of the stories I had heard before, but I didn't know all the details. Some of the stories I just didn't even realize had actually happened. By the time I finished the book, all I could think of was, will I be able to use my life experiences to be a lesson for others one day? Would my life be as rich or meaningful as what my dad had led? So parents are often referred to as role models and coaches that their children look up to, and Dad was no different. For me and my sister Sonali, who's also here today, we are the biggest beneficiaries of what is being communicated in Tough Journey, Great Destination. The behaviors and traits that we have observed in Dad are things that we have tried our best to embody and demonstrate. So there are a few that stand out to me, which I would like to share with you. So firstly, Dad has a passion for excellence in everything he takes on. Whatever he touched, we saw him excel, be it in his career, in his sports, or even where his hobbies were concerned. But this excellence didn't just come. We saw him work very hard for it. There was discipline, dedication, commitment, practice. There were lots of failures as well as learnings. And we saw in him a man that set very high goals and relentlessly pursued them, never giving up. Dad also had an immense thirst for knowledge and a desire to continuously improve himself. Whilst he had qualified himself in the areas of finance and accounting, he was also very well read. His knowledge on varied subjects, be it from history to geography, literature, religion, science, sports, or even entertainment, blew us away. I can tell you that growing up, many a time we would play Trivial Pursuits with him. Usually it would be Auntie Manu, me, and Sonali in one team playing against Dad. And we knew when we began the game that this was a battle that we were going to lose. At the age of 40, he pursued his MBA, and with his post-retirement plans in place at the age of 66, Dad followed a course in transformative coaching by the renowned Coach Masters Academy in Singapore. The learning and discovery of new things also continued as he took on the world of social media, something that he had never embarked on to date. Venturing into this space at his age can be rather a challenging and a daunting experience, but Dad just embraced it. Today, he has his own website, has accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and I can tell you he's probably more social active than I am. Whilst we saw him work hard, we also saw him play hard. Dad had a zest for life, and whilst he was progressing his great career, he had a blast doing it. Often referred to as the life of the party, you would see him behind a mic at many an event, be it at a Royal Thomaian cricket match or even just a social gathering, sometimes singing songs with rather inappropriate lyrics. He made time for his sports, hobbies, excelling in cricket, Scrabble, and bridge. He loved to travel and made it a point to visit new countries to take in their culture, history, and local cuisine. But through it all, and possibly the one aspect that has really influenced my sister and I, was how we saw Dad live the values. In him, we saw a man full of integrity, who demonstrated respect for people despite their gender, religion, nationality, caste, or creed. He also had immense humility, never wanting to speak or share publicly any of his achievements, and always willing to learn from others. I know for a fact that my introduction is probably making him feel very uncomfortable. Leading up to this, he was very curious and tried in many ways to find out what I was going to be saying. And I knew for a fact that if I shared my speaker notes with him, he would have cut off 75% of my content. So for Sonali and I, Dad has played a key role in pushing us to be our best, whilst keeping our feet firmly planted on the ground. He has picked us up when we have fallen and challenged us to see potential in ourselves when we couldn't. He has showed us that success does not need to come through designations and titles. And what is most important is to stay true to yourself and true to your values. The lessons are many. So if he could have had such an impact on our lives, why not help, impact, and transform others? The one thing I know for sure, it was a tough journey for my dad, and he has indeed reached a great destination. And I stand here today very proud that he has chosen to share this very personal journey in the hope of influencing professionals and young leaders to develop themselves to achieve success. Through the course of this evening, you will hear excerpts of the book from 4 readers. Whilst they share their excerpts, they will also share their thoughts and reflections. We will also hear from Franklin Amarasinghe, who did the foreword for the book, and last, from the author himself, my dad, Dinali Peiris. I would now like to invite my dad to introduce the first reader.